He's wrecked. Chaos erupts on WWE Raw. Brock Lesnar ambushes Bron Breakker following WrestlePalooza showdown. Brock Lesnar just destroyed the future of WWE, and I am livid. The Beast Incarnate returned to Monday Night Raw last night and absolutely demolished Bron Breakker in what can only be described as a vicious, unprovoked assault that left the rising star in a heap on the arena floor. This wasn't a match. This wasn't competition. This was a seasoned veteran burying a young talent who was on the verge of superstardom. And the worst part? WWE is probably going to try to justify this carnage as good storytelling. If you're as disgusted by what happened as I am, slam the like button and tell me in the comments if Brock Lesnar has officially become everything wrong with WWE's part-time star system. Let's break down this absolute nightmare. Let me take you back to WrestlePalooza, WWE's newest premium live event that took place this past Saturday. Bron Breakker, the 26-year-old genetic freak and son of WWE legend Rick Steiner, was scheduled to defend his Intercontinental Championship against Chad Gable in what was being hyped as a potential show stealer. And boy, did they deliver. Bron Breakker has been on an absolute tear since winning that Intercontinental Championship 3 months ago. He's been destroying everyone put in front of him. He's been cutting intense promos. He's been proving night after night that he's not just riding on his family name, he's earning his spot at the top of the card. The kid is money. His match against Chad Gable at WrestlePalooza was a certified banger. 23 minutes of hard-hitting, athletic, storytelling excellence. Gable, the master technician, was working over Bron's knee, trying to ground the powerhouse and take away his explosive offense. But Bron fought through the pain, hit a devastating spear that nearly broke Gable in half, and retained his championship in what many are calling his career-defining performance. After the match, Bron was celebrating with the fans, holding up his Intercontinental Championship, soaking in the moment. He'd just proven he belongs on the main event level. He'd just shown the world that the Steiner legacy is in good hands. Everything was perfect. But then, during a backstage interview immediately following the match, Bron said something that apparently caught the attention of someone very dangerous. When asked about his future goals, Bron stated, "I've conquered the Intercontinental Division. I've beaten everyone they've put in front of me. Now it's time to set my sights on the real competition. It's time to face the legends, the main eventers, the guys who think they're untouchable. I don't care if you're a former world champion, a Hall of Famer, or a part-time special attraction, if you step in my ring, you're getting wrecked." Those words, ladies and gentlemen, were about to come back to haunt him. Quick question for the comments: did you watch WrestlePalooza, and what did you think of Bron vs. Chad Gable? Fast forward to Monday Night Raw, the night after WrestlePalooza. The show opened with a celebration segment for Bron Breakker. WWE had set up the ring with balloons, banners, and a red carpet treatment for their Intercontinental Champion. This was supposed to be Bron's moment, his night to bask in the glory of his WrestlePalooza victory. Bron came out to a massive pop from the crowd. The place was electric. Fans were chanting "Breakker, Breakker," as he made his way to the ring with the Intercontinental Championship proudly displayed over his shoulder. You could see the confidence radiating from this young man. He looked like a star. Once in the ring, Bron grabbed a microphone and addressed the WWE Universe. He talked about the journey to winning the Intercontinental Championship, the obstacles he'd overcome, the doubters he'd silenced. He thanked the fans for their support and promised to be a fighting champion who would defend the title against anyone. Then he circled back to his comments from WrestlePalooza. "Last night, I said I want to face the legends, the main eventers, the guys who think they're bigger than this business. Well, I'm standing here right now issuing an open challenge. I don't care who you are, where you've been, or what you've accomplished. If you want to test yourself against the future of WWE, step through those ropes and face me." The crowd was loving it. This is exactly the kind of confidence and intensity that fans want from their champions. Bron was establishing himself as a fearless competitor who backs up his words with action. Several lower-card wrestlers made their way out, creating the impression that someone was about to answer the challenge. But then, the lights went out. And when they came back on, standing at the top of the entrance ramp was Paul Heyman. The crowd erupted. Paul Heyman, the advocate, the wise man, the greatest manager in professional wrestling history, was on Raw. And everyone knew what that meant. Brock Lesnar wasn't far behind. Paul Heyman slowly walked down the ramp, microphone in hand, that sinister smile on his face. He entered the ring and stood face to face with Bron Breakker, who looked confused but not intimidated. The crowd was buzzing with anticipation. Heyman began his promo in classic fashion. "Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Paul Heyman, and I am the advocate for the reigning, defending, undisputed Beast Incarnate, Brock Lesnar." The pop was deafening. Just the mention of Brock's name sent the crowd into a frenzy. But Bron didn't flinch. He stood his ground, staring down the legendary advocate. Heyman continued, "Young Mr. Breakker, I couldn't help but notice your comments from WrestlePalooza. You want to face legends? You want to test yourself against the real competition? You want to challenge men who you believe are untouchable?" Heyman paused for dramatic effect. Well, be careful what you wish for, because my client, Brock Lesnar, is here tonight, and he's very interested in teaching you a lesson about respect. Bron snatched the microphone from Heyman's hand, a bold move. Respect? You want to talk about respect? I've earned everything I have in this business. I don't need to bow down to anyone, including Brock Lesnar. So if the beast wants to step into my ring, I'm right here. The crowd was electric. This young lion was staring down Paul Heyman without an ounce of fear. But Heyman just smiled, that knowing, sinister smile that has preceded destruction so many times in WWE history. "Oh, Mr. Breaker," Heyman said calmly, "my client doesn't answer challenges. My client doesn't wait for permission. My client takes what he wants, when he wants, and tonight, he wants to remind you and everyone watching why he's called the Beast Incarnate." And with that, Heyman exited the ring, leaving Bron standing there, championship held high, ready for whatever was coming next. Comment below, who do you think would win in a fair fight between Brock Lesnar and Bron Breakker? But here's the thing, Brock Lesnar didn't come out. The segment ended, Raw went to commercial, and when they came back, we were on to the next match. Bron Breakker had left the ring and headed backstage, presumably thinking that if Brock was going to confront him, it would happen later in the show. The rest of Raw continued as normal. We had several matches, backstage segments, and storyline development. There was no mention of Brock Lesnar or Bron Breakker for the next 2 hours. It seemed like maybe the confrontation would be saved for next week, or maybe Heyman was just playing mind games. But then, in the final segment of Raw, chaos erupted. Bron Breakker was shown walking through the backstage area, heading toward the parking lot after what he thought was the end of his night. He had his gym bag over one shoulder, the Intercontinental Championship over the other. He was talking on his phone, probably calling his family to tell them about the successful title defense and the Heyman confrontation. Then, out of nowhere, Brock Lesnar attacked. The Beast came charging from off-screen like a freight train and leveled Bron with a clothesline that sent him crashing into a stack of equipment crates. The phone went flying. The championship belt hit the concrete floor. Bron's bag exploded, sending his gear everywhere. The camera was shaky. This was clearly meant to look like a chaotic, unplanned assault. Brock was in full beast mode. He grabbed Bron by the throat, lifted him up, and launched him into a production truck. The sound of Bron's body hitting the metal was sickening. WWE officials immediately rushed to the scene, trying to pull Brock away, but he shoved them aside like they were children. He grabbed Bron again, this time delivering a massive belly-to-belly suplex onto the concrete floor. Bron's body bounced. It looked absolutely brutal. Security personnel arrived, at least a dozen of them, trying to restrain the beast. But Brock was in a frenzy. He broke free and delivered a devastating F5 to Bron Breakker right there on the concrete, with no protection. Bron's head nearly cracked the floor. The camera stayed on the scene as WWE medical personnel rushed to Bron's aid. The kid wasn't moving. He was completely out cold on that concrete floor. The Intercontinental Championship was lying a few feet away, almost as if it had been abandoned. Brock Lesnar stood over Bron's motionless body, chest heaving, eyes wild with that familiar intensity that makes him one of the most dangerous performers in WWE history. Paul Heyman appeared, placing his hand on Brock's shoulder, whispering something in his ear. Brock nodded, and the two of them walked away, leaving carnage in their wake. Raw ended with that image, Bron Breakker surrounded by medical staff, officials frantically checking on him, and the announce team selling the severity of what just happened. Michael Cole was screaming, "This is not what we wanted to see. Bron Breakker may be seriously injured. Brock Lesnar just destroyed the Intercontinental Champion." Corey Graves added, "This is what happens when you call out a beast. Bron Breakker wanted legends, well, he got one." As Raw went off the air, they showed a replay of the attack in slow motion, emphasizing every brutal moment, the initial clothesline, the throw into the production truck, the belly-to-belly on concrete, and that devastating F5 that left Bron in a heap. The Wrestling Observer newsletter immediately reported that this angle was designed to write Bron off television for a few weeks, though there's no word on whether there was a legitimate injury during the attack. WWE has been silent on social media about Bron's condition, which is only adding to the drama. But here's what's making me furious about this entire situation, and I need you to hear me out on this. Why? Why does WWE continue to book their young, rising stars to get destroyed by part-time legends? Bron Breakker is 26 years old. He's the future of this company. He's been on fire with the Intercontinental Championship. He's getting genuine crowd reactions. He's proving every single week that he can be a top guy. And what does WWE do? They have a 47-year-old part-timer come in and demolish him in a one-sided beatdown that makes Bron look like an amateur. How does this help anyone? But it's Brock Lesnar. I can hear some of you saying, Brock is special. Brock is a legitimate fighter. Of course he would destroy Bron. And you know what? I call nonsense. This is the same tired playbook WWE has been using for years to justify burying their young talent in favor of nostalgia acts. We saw it with The Shield getting squashed by Triple H, Stephanie McMahon, and Evolution back in 2014. We saw it with the Nexus getting buried by John Cena and the Legends. We saw it with Drew McIntyre getting fed to Brock Lesnar in the 2020 Royal Rumble in under 5 minutes. WWE has a pattern of sacrificing their future stars on the altar of their past. Bron Breakker should be positioned as Brock's equal. He should be portrayed as the next evolution of the Beast character, younger, hungrier, just as intense. This should have been the passing of the torch moment. Instead, it was a burial. And don't give me that this is just the beginning of a storyline defense, because we've seen how these stories end. The part-timer comes in, beats the young star, takes their spot on the card, and then leaves for another 6 months while the young talent is left to rebuild their credibility. I guarantee you, in 3 months, Brock will be gone again, off to do UFC commentary or focus on his farm or whatever it is he does when he's not collecting WWE paychecks. And Bron Breakker will be left trying to recover from being made to look weak on national television. Drop a comment and tell me, are you tired of WWE booking part-timers to destroy full-time wrestlers? Let's talk about Brock Lesnar's history in WWE, because this is important context. Don't get me wrong, Brock is an incredible performer. He's a legitimate athlete. He's a box office draw. But his booking since returning to WWE in 2012 has been problematic at best and destructive at worst. Brock ended The Undertaker's WrestleMania streak, a moment that shocked the world but, in retrospect, did nothing for anyone. The streak could have been used to elevate a young star like Roman Reigns or Bray Wyatt. Instead, it went to someone who was already established and didn't need it. Brock held the WWE Championship hostage for 504 days from 2014 to 2015, rarely defending it, rarely appearing on television, turning the most prestigious title in wrestling into a prop that only showed up when Brock felt like working. He destroyed John Cena at SummerSlam 2014 in a 16-minute squash match that, while visually impressive, killed any drama or suspense. He squashed CM Punk. He squashed Dean Ambrose. He squashed Kofi Kingston in 9 seconds at SmackDown's Fox premiere. Every time Brock returns to WWE, he comes in like a wrecking ball, destroys whoever is in his path, and then leaves. And WWE loves it because Brock draws money. But at what cost? How many potential stars have been sacrificed so Brock can look dominant? Now, Bron Breakker is the latest victim. A young man with unlimited potential, incredible genetics, natural charisma, and a bright future has been fed to the beast like a lamb to slaughter. And we're supposed to cheer for this? So where does Bron Breakker go from here? How does he recover from being utterly destroyed by Brock Lesnar in front of millions of viewers? It's not going to be easy, I can tell you that. The optimistic scenario is that WWE uses this as the start of a rivalry that culminates in Bron getting his revenge. Maybe at the next premium live event, Bron comes back stronger, more determined, and manages to survive against Brock in a competitive match. Maybe he doesn't win, but he proves he belongs on Brock's level. Then, at a major show like Royal Rumble or WrestleMania, Bron finally defeats Brock in a passing of the torch moment that legitimizes him as a main event player. That would be the right way to book this story. That would make all of this worthwhile. But I'm skeptical. WWE's track record with these storylines is not encouraging. More likely, we'll get a match at the next premium live event where Brock destroys Bron again, takes his Intercontinental Championship, and then disappears for 6 months. Bron will be left in the mid-card, his momentum completely dead, trying to rebuild from scratch. WWE needs to commit to making this a star-making moment for Bron. They need to give him the microphone time to cut promos about how he's going to train harder, get stronger, and come back for revenge. They need to show his journey back to confronting Brock. They need to make us believe that Bron can overcome this obstacle. If WWE does this right, Bron Breakker could emerge from this feud as a made man. But if they do what they usually do, feed him to the part-timer and move on, then they'll have wasted one of the brightest prospects they've had in years. As expected, social media exploded following Raw's conclusion. Wrestling Twitter was on fire with reactions ranging from excitement to outrage. The wrestling community is divided on whether this angle is genius or garbage. Some fans loved it. They were tweeting things like "Brock is back. This is what Raw needed," and that F5 on concrete was insane. This is going to be an amazing feud. These fans believe that Brock's return adds instant credibility and star power to Raw, and that Bron will benefit from working with a legend. But many fans shared my concerns. Tweets like "WWE stop burying your young talent," and "Bron Breakker deserves better than being Brock's punching bag," were everywhere. There's a growing frustration among hardcore fans that WWE refuses to fully commit to their next generation of stars. Wrestling journalists and analysts weighed in as well. Dave Meltzer reported that the angle was designed to set up a Brock Lesnar Intercontinental Championship run, with Bron chasing to get his title back. If that's true, then my worst fears are confirmed. Brock is taking the title, which means Bron loses in their upcoming match. Brian Alvarez tweeted, "I don't understand why WWE thinks we want to see Brock Lesnar as Intercontinental Champion in 2025. We've seen this story before. Give the young guys a chance." Exactly. This is lazy, repetitive booking. Even some WWE superstars subtly commented on the situation. Finn Balor liked several tweets criticizing the angle, which is telling. It shows that even people inside the company recognize that this might not be the best direction. The hashtag #ProtectBron started trending, with fans demanding that WWE not waste Bron Breakker's potential on a short-term Brock Lesnar program. The WWE universe is passionate about this kid, and they don't want to see him sacrificed for a nostalgia pop. Tell me in the comments, are you excited or concerned about this Brock vs. Bron program? Let's talk about the business reasons why WWE booked this angle, because like it or not, WWE is a corporation making decisions based on money, not just what's best for storytelling or talent development. Brock Lesnar is a draw. There's no denying that. When Brock's name is on a poster, ticket sales increase. When Brock is advertised for a show, ratings go up. He has mainstream name recognition from his UFC career, his NCAA wrestling background, and his legendary WWE run. Casual fans who don't watch every week will tune in to see Brock. WWE is likely calculating that putting Brock in a program with Bron will elevate Bron in the eyes of casual fans who may not know who he is yet. Oh, this Bron Breakker kid must be important if Brock is coming back to face him. That's the theory behind it. Additionally, WWE has major shows coming up. The Royal Rumble is in January, Elimination Chamber is in February, and WrestleMania is in April. Having Brock on the card for any of these shows is guaranteed to boost buys and attendance. WWE wants Brock locked into a program that justifies his massive paycheck. But here's the problem with this business strategy, it's short-sighted. Yes, Brock draws now. But what happens when Brock is retired? Who's going to draw then? If WWE keeps sacrificing their young talent to make part-timers look strong, they're going to find themselves in a position where they have no stars left to build their future around. Bron Breakker is the future. Investing in him, building him up, making him look dominant, that's what creates the next generation of draws. Instead, WWE is borrowing from their future to pay their present, and that's a dangerous game. Alright, let me fantasy book this for a second, because I think there is a way to make this work that benefits everyone involved. WWE, if you're watching, take notes. First, Bron Breakker needs to come back from this ambush angry and motivated. Give him promos where he talks about how that attack opened his eyes. He realized he was cocky, he underestimated what Brock Lesnar is capable of, and he spent every moment since then preparing for war. Second, don't have their match right away. Build to it. Have Bron challenge Brock multiple times, but Brock refuses because Bron hasn't earned it yet. This creates tension and makes the eventual match feel important. Third, when they finally face off at a premium live event, make it competitive. Bron should look like he belongs in the ring with Brock. He should get significant offense. He should kick out of an F5. He should hit Brock with multiple spears. Even if he loses this first match, he needs to lose with dignity. Fourth, if Brock takes the Intercontinental Championship, fine, but immediately establish that Bron has invoked his rematch clause. The chase makes Bron sympathetic and gives him purpose. Fifth, in the rematch, which should happen at a major show like WrestleMania, Bron wins. He overcomes the Beast. He reclaims his championship. He establishes himself as a made man. And Brock? Brock rides off into the sunset, having helped create the next big thing in WWE. That's how you book this story. That's how you use a legend to elevate a young star without burying them. Will WWE actually do it? I'm not holding my breath, but I'm hoping they prove me wrong. This situation with Brock and Bron is just a symptom of a larger problem in WWE, the company's addiction to part-time stars. For years, WWE has relied on bringing back legends for cheap pops and short-term ratings boosts instead of investing in long-term storytelling and character development. The Rock comes back in main events WrestleMania despite not working a full match in years. Stone Cold returns for one-off appearances. Goldberg gets multiple world championship runs despite being in his mid-50s. These decisions might create momentary excitement, but they do nothing to build the future. Meanwhile, full-time wrestlers like Seth Rollins, Finn Balor, and now Bron Breakker are expected to carry the company 52 weeks a year, only to be leapfrogged by part-timers when it's time for big matches and major storylines. It's disrespectful to the talent who shows up every single week. It's frustrating for fans who invest in these full-time wrestlers only to see them treated as secondary to stars from the past. WWE needs to make a choice. Either commit to building your current roster into legitimate stars who can carry the company for the next decade, or continue relying on nostalgia acts and accept that you'll be stuck in this cycle forever. The talent is there. Bron Breakker, Gunther, Ilja Dragunov, Jade Cargill, Rhea Ripley, and so many others are ready to be the faces of this company. they just need WWE to actually give them the support and booking they deserve. This Brock Lesnar situation is a test. It will show us whether WWE has learned anything from their past mistakes, or if they're destined to repeat the same patterns that have frustrated fans for years. Look, I'm passionate about this because I care about professional wrestling. I care about Bron Breakker's career. I care about the future of WWE. And watching this young, talented performer get demolished by a part-timer who's going to disappear in a few months makes my blood boil. Brock Lesnar didn't need to destroy Bron to look strong. Brock is strong. He's already established. He's already a legend. This attack did nothing for Brock except reinforce what we already knew. But for Bron, this could be the beginning of something special, or it could be the moment where his momentum got killed. It all depends on how WWE books the next few months. And based on their track record, I'm worried. I want to hear from you, the Wrestling Newsletter family. Tell me in the comments, how would you book the Brock Lesnar vs. Bron Breakker feud? What happens next? Who should win? Should Brock take the Intercontinental Championship? Give me your detailed fantasy booking. If you're angry about this angle, smash that like button. If you think I'm overreacting and this is going to be great, hit the dislike and tell me why I'm wrong. Either way, engage with this video because WWE needs to know how fans feel about this direction. Subscribe to Wrestling Newsletter for daily updates on this developing story. I'll be covering every development in the Brock vs. Bron saga. Hit that notification bell so you don't miss a single video. Share this with every wrestling fan you know. Let's start a conversation about WWE's booking of young talent versus part-time legends. The more people talking about this, the more likely WWE will actually listen. Final question for the comments, on a scale of 1 to 10, how excited are you for Brock Lesnar vs. Bron Breakker? This has been Wrestling Newsletter, and remember, we're not just fans, we're critics who demand better. WWE has the talent to create the next generation of superstars. Let's hold them accountable to actually doing it. Until next time, keep questioning, keep discussing, and keep demanding excellence. Peace.